Hello, my name is Brianna Rankin, and I'm a mathematics student at Tennessee Tech University. Today, I will be convincing you that the Tennessee Board of Education is way worse than you thought. I'll be talking about the inner workings of the Board of Education, and I'll be discussing their impacts. I'll also be discussing recent graduates' opinions of their high school success and what that says about the Tennessee Department of Education. I'll begin by discussing what the Board of Education is and what it does in Tennessee. The Board of Education oversees all public K-12 schools in the state, according to tennessee.gov/education. Now, they're responsible for setting curriculums, for overseeing standardized tests, deciding who can teach Tennessee schools and teacher licensing, and perhaps most importantly, school funding. Now, the board has significant power to shape the education system and ultimately the future of Tennessee students. But instead of using this power to help, they've made decisions that are actively hurting students in Tennessee. The Board of Education has failed in three critical areas: overuse of standardized testing, lack of support for teachers, and preferential school funding. Now, with the overuse of standardized testing, comptroller.tn.gov states public school students must take the state's standardized tests, which for most students are the TN Ready tests, annually in grades 3 through 8 and at the end of specific courses in 9 through 12. The pressure from constant standardized tests leads to burnout for both students and teachers. Now, another problem with standardized testing is that it's heavily affected by poverty. SycamoreTennessee.org states Tennessee counties with higher child poverty rates tend to have lower standardized test scores and higher rates of abuse, neglect, and food insecurity among youth. Standardized tests reflect poorly on low-income schools, leading to less funding. Standardized tests lead to burnout and lead to teachers having to teach unimportant topics, but as required on standardized testing. Next, teachers. There is such a lack of support for teachers from the Tennessee Board of Education that it's become very noticeable. DiverseLearnersScoop.com states, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, more than 300,000 public school teachers and other staff left the field between February 2020 and May 2022, a nearly 3-point drop in the workforce. Teachers who left the profession cited low pay, health concerns, trauma and violence, and increasing instructional demands as the reasons for leaving, among others. Teachers are constantly getting little support from the state, leading to a teacher shortage, affecting student learning. Tennessee Senate EMS.com states nationally, Tennessee ranked 44th for average teacher salary. Even worse, the report states, after adjusting for inflation, average teacher pay in Tennessee is 10.4% less today than it was 10 years ago. Not only are teachers not given enough support, but they're also severely underpaid, leading to a teacher shortage, leading to low learning rates. Finally, uneven school funding. Tennessee ranked 44th for per student spending behind all 8 of our neighboring states, as stated by TNSenateEMS.com. Compared to a similar cost of living, Tennessee is behind on student spending compared to all of our neighboring states. The statistic is staggering, showing just how undervalued our students are. But where is this money going? Now, SycamoreTN.org states child nutrition, SSA, Title I, and the Individuals with Disabilities Act comprise nearly 90% of the federal K-12 dollars allocated to the state, and over 88% of those awarded to school districts. But let's take a deeper look at each of these programs to see if the money is going to a good place. Starting with the SSA Title I, it's a program to help lower-income schools get more funding. This encompasses any schools with at least 40% poverty. But when you look at the list of where this money is allowed to go to, not one of it states it can go to increasing teacher pay, leading to little incentive for teachers to work harder and work at Title I schools, and leading to college students not wanting to become teachers anymore, increasing the teacher shortage. Further ruining Title I schools. The next program that has failed is child nutrition. It's something Tennessee has spent $284 million on in 2023, which is approximately 25.8% of that year's funding. This is split into the National School Lunch Program, the School Breakfast Program, the Summer Food Service Program, and the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. State sycamoretn.org. On paper, these programs are great, but when you look deeper in, you realize the flaws. Middle schoolers and high schoolers are getting the same amount of food. The nutrition in the food is average at best. And finally, in Title I schools and lower income schools, with kids who depend on school food for eating, they cannot gain access to the nutrition they need on weekends, which is another flaw. Finally, the final program that is spending primarily going towards is the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. I worked with 13 special education schools. My senior thesis to figure out if they're receiving proper funding. But what I learned is this act's funding has very specific requirements, not allowing teachers to purchase what they need, but what the school board thinks they need, which is wrong. Teachers don't have storage for new curriculums, new games that they don't need, which is what the money's going towards. Instead, these classrooms get hand-me-down electronics and hand-me-down everything from the school. The Tennessee Board of Education is so deeply disconnected from Tennessee schools that they don't realize these policies aren't working. Now, the Tennessee Board of Education has lots of resources online to learn about them, but let's hear what students have to say about their high school careers and how that reflects on the Tennessee Board of Education. I took a survey of 76 voluntary college students to see what aspects of their Tennessee high school were strong and which were weak. Now, students responded to several statements on a scale from 0 to 5, with 0 being strongly disagree to 5 being strongly agree. Through this, I learned that the strongest aspects of their high school were English classes, math classes, and science classes, with the lowest being financial literacy, something students need the rest of their life, but the school board doesn't support. It's only required 1 semester of financial literacy classes, not enough, which is why students have ranked it so low. I believe the most staggering statistic is about mental health support at schools. After COVID, mental health has been moved to the forefront of many conversations, and yet there is still a huge lack of mental health resources and funding in Tennessee schools. This can be shown by the lowest average response being the mental health resources. And on this chart, of all the 4s and 5s, 11 out of the 13 are upper middle class to upper class based on the reported tax bracket, demonstrating how, especially in lower income schools, mental health is an ignored problem, and how the Board of Education is so disconnected from students and schools that they can't see students are struggling and need the extra help and resources. The Tennessee Board of Education is failing our students and teachers. And though their outward appearance is effective and useful, they continue to be so disconnected from school that their actions are useless. But hopefully, with this new view on the Board of Education, you can see how important it is to make change. Vote for a governor who will elect board members with your school district in mind. Go to board meetings and advocate for yourself or your kids. And finally, support teachers with encouraging words, gifts, and just your overall respect and support, because teaching is a hard job and they do not get the resources they need. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I've taught you something you didn't know and sparked a change. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.